Turns out smoking is bad for you. You may not have known. Federal government reminding you. Well, now they're targeting new electronic cigarettes, but could they be looking to regulate the one thing that could save smokers' lives? Sally Sattel, an old friend of mine, is a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. She's a physician, a psychiatrist specializing in addiction, and she joins us now to weigh in. Sally, thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
I'm a little confused by this. We know, I think for certain, that e-cigarettes are less harmful to smokers than tobacco cigarettes. Why wouldn't we be in favor of that?
Right. There is no question that they are far safer than cigarettes. They don't combust tobacco, and so there's no gases and tars to cause cancer. Now, the FDA has not yet ruled on it. They were supposed to rule back in October, and they haven't said anything yet about how they're going to regulate it.
But we know that we know that certain municipalities, including the city of New York, have restricted the use of e-cigarettes on the basis, as far as I know, of no scientific evidence that they cause harm.
It's true that many municipalities have banned smoking in places where, excuse me, I should say vaping. It's a very important distinction. One vapes electronic cigarettes, one smokes, like Marlboros. And it is true that New York City, Chicago, many others have prohibited vaping in bars and even in public. And those are local decisions. But the FDA has not yet made any proclamation about marketing and regulation. And to be truthful, it should probably regulate manufacturing standards and labeling practices. There's no question about that. And they will probably, I would imagine, ban sales to minors,
right,
people under 18. And that makes sense, too. But otherwise, I believe we want to make e-cigarettes as attractive to smokers as possible.
Well, of course, but I guess I'm so struck by the willingness of policymakers to pass laws on the basis of no science, claiming they're acting in the public's interest, but not having no science to back it up. I mean, isn't the real issue here is that smoking is unfashionable, and that rich, well-educated people don't smoke, and therefore people who do smoke or vape are fair game.
Well, actually, they're quite concerned about young people. That's really one of the main targets of concern. The most, even the most vociferous critics recognize that e-cigarettes are far safer for smokers than our cigarettes. You will get the nicotine, but remember, the nicotine is not what's harmful. The
right.
nicotine is what addicts you, and that's why we don't want minors to have access to them. But it's the smoke that kills. We don't, as I said, they haven't yet made their proclamation on it, and we want to we do want to keep it out of the hands of young people. They're concerned about a gateway effect,
right,
that young people might start vaping and then move on to cigarettes, and that would be a very bad outcome, and this is something we have to follow. But the CDC data that exists now show that smoking in youth is at an all-time low of 18%, and e-cigarette use has gone up a little bit. So if anything, if we can interpret those numbers, they're still pretty small, but if we could interpret them at all, they would suggest that actually young people who are smoking are probably using e-cigarettes to get themselves off cigarettes.
Of course. That's why reality needs to guide our policy. Sally Sattel joining us live from Washington this morning. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you.